Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm showing you how to enter a recipe into Cronometer. I'm going to show you how to enter one manually, and then I'll also show you how to import a recipe into Cronometer. This is the computer interface. This is the interface you see when you're using your laptop or desktop computer. The interface on the phone is very similar. The main difference is that this menu bar on the left-hand column is along the bottom on the phone interface. Most of the time, when you've been using Cronometer to track your foods, you're in the Diary tab. To enter a recipe, we're going to head over to the Foods tab. And we're going to go to Custom Recipes. Now, first, we're going to enter a recipe manually. You don't want to enter a long recipe with a ton of ingredients manually. That's what we use the import feature for. But say you have a breakfast you always eat that has maybe 4 or 5 ingredients, or maybe there's a smoothie you make all the time with a handful of ingredients. That's a good recipe to enter manually, especially if you don't have a URL link to that recipe. If it's just something you kind of put together in your head, maybe a sandwich you make all the time, or a salad you make for lunch. So I'm going to add a recipe manually, and I'm going to do Alyssa's, I'm going to call it, so the first thing you do is select a name. I'm going to call this Alyssa's Oatmeal Breakfast. I pick a unique name like that because it will make it easier to find your recipe when you're searching Cronometer. If you just go in and search oatmeal breakfast, there's going to be a ton of hits. So this one will jump out to me. I'm going to go ahead and favorite it just as another way to make it easy to find, although that step is not essential, it just helps. And now I'm going to add the ingredients. And this is looking very familiar. This is how you've been tracking foods all along. So my ingredients for the oatmeal are, first I use rolled oats, and I use 1/3 of a cup. So I'm going to pick rolled oats dry. I'm going to go down here and do a 0.33 of a cup, add the ingredient. Now you'll see that showed up right here. Now I'm going to add the next ingredient by going to add ingredients. And I put in 2 tablespoons of dried cranberries. Okay, perfect. Remember that if Cronometer doesn't give you the units you want, you can select different units. I've gotten lucky so far this time in that they are defaulting to the units I want. I'm going to add this ingredient. I'm going to keep adding the ingredients. So let's see, I put in some water. I'm not going to add that because there's no nutrients to track there. I'm going to say, I also like to put in a tablespoon of chia seeds. Okay. Okay, hey, how easy are they making it for me today? And then let's say I like a teaspoon of brown sugar. Okay, so they're defaulting to grams. I don't like grams. So I'm going to switch to 1 teaspoon and add that. So now I have my name. I've favorited it. I have my 4 ingredients. Now you just want to make sure that the servings per recipe is correct. So I do just make, this recipe is just making 1 serving. If you happen to be entering a recipe that makes 2 servings or more, you're going to put the number of servings the recipe makes here. That's an important step. And then I'm just going to save the changes. All right, so now that I've done that, let me just show you how you'll find your recipe, because that's an important part of this. And then we'll come back and I'll show you how to import a recipe. So let's go back to the diary screen, and let's say I'm tracking my foods. I'm going to go click that button to track my foods. The recipes you entered, so we default to the All tab. I put the star on there, so it will also be filed under the favorites tab, but say I forgot to do the star, all the recipes you enter are going to be under the custom tab. So I've done a lot of recipes here. Here we go. We have my oatmeal breakfast. As you can see, I've added a ton of recipes. So if I'm tracking it, I'm just going to select it. And yes, I want the full recipe and add it to the diary. And it's that easy. So now let me show you how to import a recipe. So we're gonna go back to the foods tab and we're gonna click back to custom recipes. And then it's bringing me back to my oatmeal breakfast that I just entered. So I'm gonna go back to the recipe list. And then here is where I import a recipe. This feature you're going to want to use for more in-depth recipes that you find online that you have a URL for that have a lot of ingredients and would be super tedious to enter into Cronometer manually like we just did. So I have an example pulled up here. This is a FODMAP every day, Instant Pot barbecue brisket, and you can see, oops, a FODMAP every day has lots of pop-ups. You can see as we were looking at their recipe, there are so many ingredients in this recipe, so that would be a huge pain to enter into Cronometer. So I'm just gonna instead copy this URL. Control C, I highlighted it in Control C, and click back over to Cronometer, and then I'm going to click Import Recipe. I'm going to click into this box, and I'm going to Control V to paste it, or you can right click and select Paste. And then I'm going to click Import. Now I'm going to wait. It will take a minute or so for them to import all of the ingredients. Okay, so Cronometer has imported my low FODMAP Instant Pot barbecue brisket. The recipe name is correct. I'm just gonna, and they've imported all the ingredients. So do take this step and go through and compare the ingredient list to the recipe and just make sure all the ingredients uploaded correctly. If something's not correct, so I'm not gonna actually go through and check all the ingredients right now, but you will want to. Because occasionally something doesn't import correctly. Let's just say something doesn't. So let's say paprika, I don't know. Let's say it's supposed to be a teaspoon and they imported a tablespoon. You can click in here and change it a lot of times. So I'm going to change this to teaspoon, because I think it imported wrong. And so that's kind of what you'll do, or if you need to change the amount, you can click in there and change it. Let's say they import something just totally wrong and you just want to delete that ingredient. You can go over here and click the X and delete the ingredient. And let's say they totally skipped something and you need to add it. You can add it here like you've done before. Once you know all the ingredients are correct, make sure the number of servings is correct. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Then you save the recipe. And that is going to be in your custom tab as well now, like the oatmeal was when you go back to the diary. Let me show you one more thing that can happen just because that one imported very easily. It doesn't always work out that way. So let's say you go to import recipe. And let's just say you paste the URL and then it gives you an error and tells you it cannot import this recipe. Then you're going to head down here where it says paste ingredients and click the here. Whoops. And when you do that, it's going to open up this box where it's going to let you paste the ingredient list. So in that case, I'm going to head over here. I'm actually just going to copy the whole ingredient list like this. And then I'm going to Control C for copy. Go over and I'm going to Control V or right click paste and just paste the ingredients in this box. And then I'm going to click import. So that's a way around it because if you have an error importing the actual URL, because Cronometer they only cooperate with certain recipe sites and not every single site out there is going to import nicely, although they really do import quite a few. So this is the other way to do it, and it works just as well. All right, guys, have fun.